Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. Brothers, inshallah, if you can come closer, inshallah, and brothers on the side, inshallah, if you come in, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, brothers. Jazakallah khair for coming today, Ministry of Dawah, inshallah. For the next 6 weeks, inshallah, brothers, we're going to be talking about issues related to what's happening in the world today, the problems related to the Muslims. And inshallah, this week we have corruption at the highest level. The MPs and the rulers in the West, they're always accusing the Muslims and the third world, saying, you lot are corrupt, you lot are corrupt, you lot are corrupt. And in the last few weeks, Allah has exposed them. Allah has exposed them in a big way. And inshallah, we have brother Umar, inshallah, will be going into more deep in this subject.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa salam wa salat ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers.
Wa alaykum salam wa rahmatullah.
Like the brother said, the West has really gone to great lengths to promote their political system, democracy. And in line with that, what the West have done over the last decade or so is that they've continuously spread negative propaganda about Islam. So they'll attack all of our values, they'll even attack our belief, they'll even attack our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, astaghfirullah, they'll attack how we treat our women, our hudud, etc. So they're constantly attacking the Islamic values. But at the same time, the West like to promote their own values. So they say, we've got human rights, we've got gender equality, we've got democracy. And to be honest with you, they can't stop banging on about democracy. They bang on about it so much, in fact, that they say democracy is so amazing, that's everybody's birthright to live in a democracy. That is how good it is. Not only that, but everybody should actually be prepared to fight and die so that they can live in a democracy. Just like we did, just like Britain and America did 300 years ago. Because 300 years ago, Britain, America and France and other areas of Europe, they fought and they died for democracy. And they believe that everybody else in the world should do the same. So brothers, when you hear this, constantly banging on about democracy, you must think, this democracy must be amazing. The way that they live in the West under this democracy must be like Jannah. It must be just, it must be fair, etc. But alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah, He has exposed them, totally exposed them for what they really are. And He has shown the depths of the corruption that we see in Western democracies like we've never seen in history before. And like we saw in the video, brothers, this MP's expenses has really shown us what democracy in the West is really about. What it's really about is corruption at the highest level. And what's special about this expenses scandal is that it's actually affected all the major political parties. And not only that, but all of the politicians are in on it. All of the politicians pretty much have got dodgy expenses. All of them have tried to milk the system for as much as they can. Going from low-ranking MPs to high-ranking MPs to cabinet ministers, everybody has had their hand in the till, trying to skank the system out of as much money as they can. We saw in the video, Hazel Blair's was taking as much money as she could to the pound. So the mentality of these MPs was that I have to rinse the system as much as possible. Now I don't want to go over all the examples again, because we saw them in the video. But some of them, I want to just point out the ones that have got a hint of irony to them. So Hazel Blair's, we saw her expenses. Hazel Blair's used to be the communities minister. So you'd find her, coming to areas like King's Cross, Bradford, areas where Muslims lived, and she'd sit there and she would lecture Muslims about our Islamic values. You should leave these Islamic values, they're backward, you need to adopt Western values, you need to be democratic, you need to get involved in the system, you need to go out and vote. And all the time, while she's lecturing Muslims and lecturing everybody else, what's she doing? She's rinsing the system, stealing our money effectively, taxpayers' money. Jackie Smith is another example. This is really ironic because she is the Home Secretary. And she's, over the last few months, she's been launching program after program about spreading Western values to the Muslim community. And the same thing, she goes around lecturing Muslims, you need to leave your Islamic values, you need to adopt Western values. And what's she been doing? She's been putting expenses on porn DVDs. So that husband at home can watch porn. So her husband can stay at home and watch porn. There's some other really strange examples, brothers, of these expenses. This expenses system, by the way, just to clarify, was designed to cover the working expenses of the MPs. So in essence, there's nothing wrong with having a system that covers expenses. So if any of us, work for a company and we incur costs, like if you drive and you incur fuel costs, it's perfectly legitimate to ask your employer to pay for those costs. But what these MPs have done is they've incurred costs that have got nothing to do with their job. Nothing to do with their job at all. So a couple of examples. Margaret Beckett, who is Minister of Housing, ironically, so she's supposed to, make sure that people in Britain have got adequate housing to a decent standard. She's been claiming hundreds and hundreds of pounds on plants and on decorating her house. And this comes at a time when people are getting turfed out of their houses because they can't pay the mortgages. So you see lots of people becoming homeless, and what's Margaret Beckett doing, the Minister of Housing? She's wittering away our money on plants. We've got another example here. I mean, this is very embarrassing for this guy, Phil Willis. Yeah, he's a man, Phil Willis. He claimed on tampons. Why would a man need to claim on tampons? He claimed on nappies and hair dye. So not only are they corrupt, but you've got some dodgy guys here, brothers, that are claiming money on tampons. So in essence, brothers, we've seen that these MPs, what they've done is, they've really, really taken us for a ride. Yeah. And what's special about this case as well is that the British public, rightfully so, are extremely angry about the situation. Because it's also come at a time when we see economic meltdown in Britain. So we see this recession. They've claimed that it's the worst recession for 60 years. Millions of people unemployed, people getting turfed out of their homes, people can hardly put food on the table. At the same time, these MPs that are supposed to be looking after our interests are wasting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds on their own, funding their own lifestyles. This is money, brothers, that we pay from our own taxes. So when you buy a good, you pay VAT. That's tax, income tax, etc. Yeah? And this money shouldn't be going to funding their lavish lifestyles, brothers. This is money that should be spent on schools, on hospitals, on public transport. It should be money spent on the public, not going into these MPs' pockets. And brothers, it doesn't actually end there. I mean, this MP's expenses, it's very high profile, but there's been numerous other scandals in the political structure in Britain and America. So we've seen a case called Cash for Laws. And what happened with Cash for Laws? This happened recently. Two undercover journalists, they went to the House of Lords and they found a couple of lords and they said, look, undercover, yeah, if we give you some money, can you just change a couple of laws for us? And these lords are like, no problem. Give us some money, we're really influential, we'll get these laws changed for you. And obviously, because they're undercover journalists, they published the story, and these lords had to be suspended. We had another scandal, Cash for Peerages, recently, where some rich businessman lent the Labour Party a lot of money, yeah? And then magically, out of nowhere, in a year's time, all three of them were offered peerages after they lent them this money. And also we've had this case in America where, Barack Obama, when he became president, he had to give up his Senate seat. So the governor of Illinois, who was looking after his seat, who was supposed to, appoint someone to fill that seat, he put his seat up for sale. So he said, whoever gives me the most money for this seat, he can have the seat. Where's the justice? Where's the system? Where's the elections? Where's the fairness? Where's appointing the best man for the job? That all went out the window. If you give me the most money for the seat, you can have the seat. So brothers, this corruption